Congratulations, Mr. President.
The golden age of America begins right now.
We're allowed to actually do our job, which is go out and enforce the law.
This is the Trump effect in action. Those are the words from the New York Times.
Even 20-year-olds can't keep up with President Trump and his rigorous schedule.
His administration will ramp up drilling of oil and gas on U.S. soil.
Drill, baby, drill.
Trump pulled the U.S. out of the Paris Climate Accords, the World Health Organization.
Eliminating the Federal Department of Education.
New Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE for short.
$10 million worth of USAID-funded meals, which went to an al-Qaeda-linked terrorist group.
This is all fraud.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning.
And we are just getting started.
Mr. President, your first 100 days, this is the first 89 days.
Yeah?
These are first 89 days.
We work hard.
You work really hard. I actually met some of the people that write the executive orders last night, and they need sleep. They're working overtime.
What a great team.
Yeah. So I remember when I was at Fox, Barack Obama, we didn't call it this, but it was shock and awe. It was, I couldn't keep up with it. It was going too fast. You have put that to shame.
Blew them all away.
Blew them all away. Was that by design to?
No, there were just so many things that the country needed. I mean, honestly, this country, what they did in 4 years was so disastrous for the country. I wish I didn't have to do so much, but they did things that were just horrible. I mean, with energy, they terminated Anwar, which is the biggest find in the world, in the whole world. In Alaska, they terminated it. They did things on the border that are shocking, just absolutely shocking. You know, we have the best border we've ever had now. And 3 months ago was the worst border in history, probably for any country, not just here. There was no border. There's never been a border like that where prisons and gangs and drug dealers and murderers are allowed to walk in without being checked or vetted. So it wasn't by design, it was just that they have so many things. I mean, we're doing a lot more. There are a lot more to come.
So I want to get into this a little later, but this seems appropriate to bring it up here. Where the hell is Congress? Where are the Republicans?
Yeah, well, I think they're working hard. I think you're going to see that if we pass the, as I call it, the big beautiful bill.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about one bill.
Yes.
We were talking, as you remember, it was a debate on should we do one big one or should we do 3 or 4 or 2? And we're doing it in one bill, which I thought was much more beautiful because it's everything. It's everything. It's tax cuts, it's regulation cuts, it's things that you wouldn't believe, lots of, you know, big. It's big and we get that done, it's beautiful. And we are getting along very well. I will tell you, the Republicans, we had a majority a few months ago of 1 in the House. Now we have 7. That's a lot. We won 2 races and picked up a couple of others in addition. But we're up to 7. That's a big difference.
Will this be? Will all your work go away, however, if they don't codify?
So we're going to codify. And we're going to wait till after the bill is passed, and then we're going to work on nothing but codifying. As an example, the other day I did shower heads and sinks and the whole thing.
Thank you.
Where isn't it nice?
Yes, it is.
No, you go into a new building, a hotel, and no water comes out. No water comes out of the sink. All of that's done with dishwashers. We did a little thing, very little thing, but it was a big thing to some people. Straws. We are now making again straws that are plastic straws as opposed to paper that melts in your mouth.
Yeah.
And so many different things. It's been really amazing. A lot of them common sense.
What is the one thing that you think is maybe overlooked, that you think is the most significant thing that you did?
Well, I mean, I really think we've done a lot because biggest tax cuts like last, you know, we had a tremendous 4 years.
But I mean the thing that you think to yourself, why isn't this getting more attention? This is big.
Well, if you look at, and this is not the biggest thing, but it's a big thing, men and women's sports, how these people can be promoting it even now is unbelievable. The men playing in women's sports. When we put a whole thing out on that, and that's no longer a part of our fabric. Hopefully we have a couple of people like Maine, the governor of Maine, who wants to play the game, and she's going to lose an election if she runs. I don't know if she runs. I couldn't care less, but she was one that wanted to take it on. Even in California, they gave up on that one pretty much. That was something that's amazing. Open borders to me are amazing. We don't have open borders. We have nice closed borders now. We have people can come into our country, but they have to come in legally. But I mean, how amazing is that when you have, because you're asking about things that I see that are amazing. That's amazing that you can have an open border where prisoners from all over the world are allowed to come into our country. 11,888 murderers are allowed into our country. We have that number of murderers. We're taking them out as rapidly as we can. And by the way, we're being met with strong resistance from judges that are, I don't know where they come from. I don't know where they come from.
Let me go there. There's some amazing stats that I looked up. I don't think most Americans know this. Bill Clinton turned away 12.3 million people. Formally returned home 1 million. He had 12 injunctions on him. George W. Bush, 10.3 million people, 2 million he turned around formally, 6 injunctions. Barack Obama, 5.5 million, 3 million he formally turned around, and he had 12 injunctions. You have 30 last time, 30 last time, 30 this time.
Yeah.
And you're facing 190, you're 100 days in, and you have 190 cases against you.
It's obstruction, and what they're doing to the country is unbelievable. But we're getting it done, and we're winning, but it's so much more difficult than it should be. When you have a murderer that people are protecting, when you have people like, you read so much about the wonderful man from Maryland. Who was just wonderful, but he had on his knuckles tattooed MS-13. We didn't know he was MS-13, and the Democrats are working hard to protect him. And it's not. I don't want to get into his reputation, but it's not exactly stellar.
Yeah.
And when they do that, that's like how they protect open borders, as I said, or so many of the other things. Transgender for everybody.
What does it tell you that the Democrats are trying to protect him, stop you at the border, and when you shut down USAID, which a lot of their money was coming from. A lot of their money. All the color revolution money was there, and coming back here for color revolution. That they immediately respond to that, to Tesla or to Elon.
Yes.
And the worst of the worst. What does that tell you about them?
Well, they don't want to do anything about it. That's right. Well, when you look at the kind of money that we found, fraud, waste, abuse, when you look at billions of dollars given to people that did nothing, and billions. I mean, Stacey Abrams was given $2 billion into an environmental account where she had $100. $2 billion. Now, 2 million is a lot. 200,000 is a lot.
Right.
She's giving $2 billion out of that grouping. No, it's a terrible, terrible. Oh, and that was nothing compared to some of the ones that we've had.
Are there?
And the press doesn't even want to write about it, by the way.
My audience, I hear from every day. They're concerned about tariffs. We'll talk about that in a minute. But they're also concerned about justice and not seeing the wheels of justice turn. Like Stacey Abrams, if she did something illegal, she should go to jail. Is justice going to be pursuing these people in Russiagate or whatever the crimes might be?
Well, I think
COVID.
Pam Bondi is doing a fantastic job. She's our law enforcement person that's doing outstanding work. I really think so. I think Cash is going to be at FBI's doing a really great job.
Right.
Now, it's very early, so I can't I can't really tell you, but I think a lot of the things that you're talking about have to be looked at.
Yeah.
They have to be looked at.
Let me go back to the border here for a second. Mexico.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems that it is a failed narco-state. Is Mexico a failed state, narco-state?
Well, I would say, in all due respect, and I really like the president a lot. I've gotten to know her, and I really like her. She's an elegant, beautiful woman. But I think it's run by the cartels.
Yeah.
And they have so much control over it. And, you know, I think the politicians are, you know, they're afraid. I think the police are probably afraid. A lot of them are shot and killed.
Yeah, I know.
And
I had a guy from
even the military is very much afraid.
I had a guy, an ATF agent, reach out to me, and he said, Glenn, and I wrote it down someplace, but he said, have people in our ATF actually trace the numbers. He said they keep talking about all these guns that are in the hands of cartels and how they get them across the border from America.
Right.
He's like, all of those numbers correlate with the numbers that come from the Pentagon, the arms that we officially ship to their military. Yes. And he said, they're taking the military guns and using those. It's like
nothing surprises me. When you see the kind of drugs coming in, comes in from China. You know, we tax them 20% because of what they've done with fentanyl, but it goes through Mexico largely, and it goes through Canada too, by the way.
Right.
A lot goes through Canada, but it comes through Mexico and Canada. But when you watch Mexico, what's happening, it's pretty amazing. And we've shut down the border, but we've shut it down. And I didn't need laws passed.
I know.
You know, as the expression goes, they just needed a new president.
Yeah,
so
I know.
you said shut down the border. We shut it down, and we shut it down tight. But yeah, Mexico's got some very big problems.
I would imagine the people of Mexico, because if I were in Mexico, I've often role-played, if I were in Mexico and I was living in a failed narco state and everybody I voted for was being killed and my family was being threatened, I'd try to get across the border as well. It would only make sense. But when your government won't do anything about it or can't do anything about it, honestly, I would be at bed at night next to my kids praying that, you know, special forces might just kind of pay some people some visits in the middle of the night.
You're right, Glenn. And I've asked I said, would you like some help? I'd be glad to give you help. No, we don't want help. They really don't want help. And please, we do not want help. And
but isn't it at
I think
some
they
point,
need help.
At some point, doesn't it?
Well, I can't tell you about that because that would be breaking news, wouldn't it? But you know, you could say at some point maybe something's going to have to happen. It can't go on the way it is. Look, when we closed the borders, that was a big deal, and we had to fight very hard to close. That was not just as simple as it sounded, because it happened fast. There were lots of skirmishes that went on, because that was a big revenue source for a lot of people. But no, we're here to help Mexico if we can. I like the president very much. I like the people, so many of the representatives, but it can't be easy for them. I think it's a very dangerous job.
So some people, you know, the last administration, they didn't want to check anybody's ID or ask any questions on the way in. COVID, in the height of COVID. We don't even check them for that.
Don't check them for anything.
Bring them in. Now they all seem to want to check them on the way out.
Yep.
And the judges are, I think it was Senator Mike Lee that said this is judicial insurrection.
Yeah, I think you could say that.
I'm not a big fan of Andrew Jackson. I know you are. Andrew Jackson took care of this constitutionally.
Right.
Would you consider taking care of this some way or another with the judges in a constitutional way?
More with my interview with the president in just a second. There comes a time in every man's life when he injures himself. Sleeping. I've done it. Bending over to pick up a pencil. I've done it. You wake up in the morning. You can't turn your neck left or right. Done it. Been there. Not because you're working out, not because you fell off a ladder, got hit by a bus saving a child, but because you dared to use a pillow. Apparently, that's the point where you realize, oh, I don't bounce back anymore. Good news is there is relief factor for those days and those type of years. It's a daily supplement. It's not one of those quick fix drugs that, you know, often don't work and then leave you feeling woozy. And it works with your body to reduce inflammation, which is even more responsible for your pain than that stupid pillow. In fact, it's probably more responsible. I didn't expect much when I first tried it, but I listened to my wife who insisted that I try it, and it broke the back of my pain, and nothing did that. Relief Factor did. Maybe it can give your life back to you. I want you to go for $19.95, get their Relief Factor Quick Start Trial Pack. It's less than $1 a day. All you have to do to get it is call 800-4RELIEF. 1-800-4-RELIEF. It's relieffactor.com.
Well, I hope we don't have that problem. And I hope we don't have to get into it. But I will say we have millions of people in this country right now that are criminals. And you see how fast we're getting them out. And we're going to get them out even faster. But when you have to get out and do court cases for individual people, and you would have, in theory, millions of court cases, you know what that means. If you had one court case, it takes forever. Millions of court cases? They're really saying you're not allowed to do what I was elected to do. I was elected for a very big part of it was the border and getting people out, because I said, and the stats reveal it, when you look at Tren de Aragua, when you look at MS-13, when you look at these gangs and just really bad criminals coming in, you know, we have many murderers, people that killed, 50% of which killed more than one person. They put them into our country through open borders. And now we have to go to court to get them out? I don't think the people of our country are going to stand for it.
Let me switch. You were elected for several things, one of which was to reduce the size of the government, and thank you for the Department of Education. Thank you for the USAID. Thank you for the things you're doing on that. It was announced, I think yesterday, that Elon is possibly reducing his role, not leaving, but reducing his role. In May. It was a true $2 trillion goal. It was reduced to $150 billion. Is that lawsuits? Is that deep state?
No, that's money found, and it's a lot of money. You know, it's $150 billion. And think of it, that's a lot of money. Now, that's continuing, and it will continue. You know, it's not easy. These are thieves.
No, I know.
In many cases, thieves. In some cases, it's incompetence and all, but it's also thieves. That number is continuing, but if you just stopped at that number, that's a tremendous number. We found things that you wouldn't believe. And then there's others that you look at certain roles of Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, where people that don't exist are on, where people that do exist, but they're not supposed to be on are on. You know, we have. That's just building up. That number's building up very rapidly.
I think you're going to be remembered as the AI president. I don't know if you feel this way at all, but AI is going to define the next.
Very big, yeah.
And you are the first one to really talk about it, really take it on, and surround yourself with people who know what this is. Has Elon been helping you at all on AI or?
Well, he probably knows more than anybody else that I know about it, but we have some great people here, and I don't know that that's how I'm going to be defined, but AI is certainly very important, and we're pressing it very hard. We have trillions of dollars being invested, and whatever it is, you know, if you're not into that world, you have to say, whatever it is, it's big, because the biggest people are coming in, and companies with more money than anything else you can imagine, more than even the car plants. We're opening up many, many car plants, factories, if you want to call them that, because that's what they are. And they're coming in from Mexico, they're coming in from Canada, they're coming in because of the tariffs. We're getting record numbers. We have over $7 trillion worth of investment already. Think of that. It's going to be unbelievable. But AI is one of the biggest things I've ever seen. And you know, these places that they're building, if you said $200 million, $300 million, that's for a corner of the building.
Right.
These are the biggest things, and I'm making it possible, as you probably know, with AI. The one thing is that you need massive amounts of electricity.
Energy.
And I'm getting it for them, and I'm getting them immediate approval, and I'm letting them build their electric plant. In other words, they're becoming really a producer of electricity. So
nuclear plants?
They can use nuclear if they want for the energy. They need to create electricity.
Because Eric Schmidt said yesterday or the day before, we use 3%. They use 3% of the power. They're going to need, by 2027, 99% of the
They
power.
need more electricity than we have right now in our
Right.
country,
Right.
powering everything. Which
And you'll
is crazy.
cut all of the red tape and get that built?
We're going to get it done very quickly. We're
That's
going to let them
amazing.
become utilities, actually. We're going to let them build their own electric plant. Because when they first came to me, I heard this number that we have to double electricity. And we're way ahead of China right now, by the way. You probably heard. Way, way ahead on AI.
On AI, yes.
And they don't have the problem with electricity because, you know, that takes one person's approval.
Right.
We have to go through a process. And I call it a national emergency. We have to be. We're going to be number one. We're going to be number one on everything. We have to be. Or we're going to lose our spot, and that's not going to happen. If we have competent presidents, we will do great. If we don't have competent presidents, we just witnessed 4 years of the most incompetent human being anyone's ever imagined, and it really hurt this country. But we're bringing it back fast.
You say if we don't have competent presidents.
Yeah.
You and I have talked before on tariffs, and I give you the benefit of the doubt because you're the best negotiator this country has ever had, probably the best the world has
better
seen.
be.
Yeah,
We need it.
we need it, and you've earned the right. It concerns me about Congress not stepping up because of regulations and tax cuts. Those things have to go through to be able to complete all of this.
I think you'll be surprised. Now, when I say Congress, Republicans in
Yes.
Congress, because we have majorities. They're not big majorities. In the Senate, we're up 3, which is okay. And in the House, we're up 7, as I said. And we are going to be coming forward with, it's the biggest bill, I think, in history. And I think you will say that if we get that passed, you're going to give them very good marks.
Good.
Because everything's in that bill.
Okay.
And then all we have to do is work the bill, work the magic. But it'll be the biggest tax cut in history. It'll be the biggest regulation cuts in history. It'll be so many other things. And I think that if Congress gets them approved, and I think they will, now we will get no votes from Democrats. It's horrible. It's horrible. The divide is so incredible. You look at what's going on. I mean, Schumer did the right thing, and he ends up being excommunicated from his party, when you think about it, right? The level is just so bad there. Their policy is so bad. You know, they're great at cheating and they're great at certain things, but they are so bad on policy. They're so far off. When I watch them trying to prosecute the same things that they just lost an election in a landslide on, and they're still going through the same things, it's crazy. And they don't know who their leaders are. They have a new one, Crockett. Have you seen Crockett? Have you ever seen her talk?
Oh,
this is going to be their leader.
I hope she's the next candidate for president.
We can hope in one way, but in other words, it's pretty demeaning.
It's
demeaning to our country. But you don't see anybody out there.
So this is pure conjecture here, but in trying to understand you and the moves that you made, when you called the Tariff Day Liberation Day, that harkened to me back to the end of the war, World War II. And I'm wondering, because of all of the moves you've made, NATO, you know, the endless wars, everything else that goes along with this, are you signaling to the world that this is not just tariffs? This is an end to the order that we built after World War II, because it might have been good after World War II for everybody, but we're not the suckers anymore. That's long past, and it's time to transform.
You've said it so well, because people don't talk about that. Even I don't mention it enough. We helped countries after World War II. We helped them rebuild, and the Korean War with South Korea.
Right.
And we never stopped.
Never.
And they became very successful. And they stole our businesses. Look, South Korea took our car business, our shipbuilding business, you know, so many different businesses, technology, electronics. If you look at Japan, and I'm not knocking them, I think it's great what they did for them. The one I'm knocking and the people I'm knocking are our presidents and our leaders, that we allowed that to happen.
So I was talking to somebody last night who's around the economy and knows it quite well. And I said to them, I'm not a fan of tariffs. I've talked to the president about it. However,
You might be.
I might be in the end.
You might.
However, I don't see anyone else with another option. And I feel like this is our last chance. And if you can't get it done, if we can't make this turn, we're done. And this individual reached out and put their hand on my shoulder and said, no, Glenn, we're done. How serious is the situation that America is in if we don't turn this corner?
More with my interview with President Trump in just a second. First, our sponsor is Jace Medical. They are doing their best to stay on top of your medical needs. The Jace case is a pack of antibiotics because the medicine you need, if it's on back order or sitting on a cargo ship halfway around the world. Have you seen what's going on with China? They make about 80% of our medicine. It might be bad. You might want to call Jace. Go to jace.com and order. They have all kinds of stuff, including, they have the antibiotics. They have all your regular medicine that you might need. You can personalize it. You can get their parasite kit in case you have problems with parasite. Have you been to Belize lately? Go to jace.com. Enter the promo code Beck at checkout. You'll get a discount on your order. That's promo code Beck at jase.com. Jace.com, promo code Beck.
So we have one big chance to become really amazing, and that's with me, whether we like it or not. I hate to put that weight on my shoulders, but that's what we have. Because we were ripped off by every country, I always say friend and foe. Mm-hmm. And honestly, the friend was oftentimes worse than the foe. Ripped off on trade, ripped off on the military too. Hey Glenn, when I got involved, NATO, I wasn't a big expert in NATO, but I have a lot of common sense and I figured it out in about 2 minutes. Nobody was paying. They weren't paying their bills. So we were defending Europe and we were getting ripped off by Europe in trade. It was like massive. No country can sustain that. We were paying most of the bill for NATO. Right. And when I say most, I mean like in the 80s and 90% and maybe 100. And I got involved and I said, you're going to have to pay your bills or we're not going to be here for you any longer. And they said, well, does he really mean that? And they said, you mean if we don't pay the bill, you're not going to be here? Nope, I'll be gone.
Good for you.
And they said, And the Secretary General of NATO, Stoltenberg, good guy, said, he has done something that I've never witnessed before. Because Bush would come in, give a speech and leave. Obama would come in, give a speech and leave. Biden we don't even talk about because he followed me. He let it get out of control. But he said Trump came in, didn't give a speech, made a nice speech, but didn't care about it. What he cared about was the fact that nobody was paying. They weren't paying their bills. So we were ripped off. We were defending them, and they were killing us with the European Union, which was formed for the sole purpose of taking advantage of the United States of America. And I said, this isn't going to go on. So I'm not so popular in Europe because of what I've done, but in many ways I am popular. People don't want to see us fail.
If it wasn't for their press that is worse than ours, because most of it is state-run, I think you would be popular because the people are in the same position.
They get it.
They get it. It's happening in their country, and I don't understand how.
It is happening over there. It's happening.
I just read a report that they said Sweden, the Netherlands, could be out by 2030. I talked to Liz Truss just a couple of weeks ago, and she said, Glenn, England is a failed state.
Yeah.
How are the...
She's been very nice. She's been saying good things about me. She got...
The shaft.
I think so. She basically said, I want to reduce taxes, and they threw her out.
Yeah.
And she was right. I reduced taxes. It's one of the things that made us do so well.
Yeah.
Because we had the strongest economy in history during my first 4 years. My first 4 years was incredible. I think we're going to do even better now. But we have a chance to do something that's monumental, and I'm in the process of doing it right now.
But how do you negotiate with a group of elites who honestly, they were for the Great Reset, the WEF Great Reset.
I don't have to negotiate. I don't have to negotiate. I'm talking to people out of respect, but I don't have to. So we're this giant store that people want to come in and buy from. We're the United States. We have the richest consumer, et cetera, right? But we're not going to be that way for long if we don't do something. But we're this giant store, and they all want to come in and they want to take our product. But to take our product, they're going to have to pay. And we'll either make a deal with them or we'll just set a price, because some countries are worse than others. Some countries have ripped us off really badly, and some countries have just ripped us off a little bit. But almost all of them have ripped us off because we've had really poor leadership. And what's going to happen is we're going to negotiate with, we're negotiating with 70 different countries. We're negotiating, we're showing great respect. But in the end, we may make deals, but either that or I just set a price. I said, here's what you're going to pay for the privilege of servicing the United States of America. And they have an option. They can maybe talk to me a little bit, or they can not shop. You know, they don't have to shop at this big store, or they can shop.
Right.
But in any event, they're going to have to pay. Look, we owe $36 trillion for a reason. The reason is the trade, and also the endless wars, the stupid wars that we fought. We go into the Middle East, we blow it up, we leave, we don't get anything. And you're a big fan of exactly what I'm saying, meaning let's not do this stupid stuff.
Doesn't work.
It's stupid. Endless wars that they don't even want us. You know, we got into wars, they didn't even want us. So all of that stuff. You know, when I left 4 years ago, we had no wars. We had no Israel and Hamas. And by the way, it would have never happened because Iran was broke. They were broke. I had sanctions that were so strong on Iran. They were totally broke. They had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah. We didn't have Russia, Ukraine. That would have never happened, by the way. We didn't have the Afghanistan embarrassment, one of the great embarrassments in the history of our country. We didn't have any inflation.
I know.
Don't forget, I charged China hundreds of billions worth of tariffs. They talk about inflation. We had no inflation because that doesn't cause inflation. Stupidity causes inflation. High energy caused inflation. When they took over my energy, we were making it like nobody's ever seen. And then the prices doubled. By the way, because of that, Putin went in. If they kept, you see what's going on with energy now, it's going down.
Yeah.
It makes it much harder for Putin to prosecute the war. So we have a lot of great things on the horizon.
One of your spokespeople came out today and said that you're tired, getting fatigued with Zelenskyy. I think he treated you poorly in the Oval, myself. He's kind of a punk. But is he the problem?
You said it.
Yeah. Is he the problem? Is Putin the problem? Or is Europe the problem?
So look, Russia's a very big military force, and Ukraine isn't. Without Ukraine, and I'm the one that supplied the javelins to them, so you know I did a lot for them because the tanks got stuck in the mud, and then they got javelins, right? And they always say Trump gave the javelins, and it was in that case Obama gave sheets. He gave sheets. They sent nothing. But Biden gave money like nobody's ever seen before. $350 billion. $350 billion. Gave military equipment, gave storage. We had massive storage bins full of ammunition, buildings as long as the eye could see, gave the ammunition. What he did is, look, between the border and the this and the that, but this war is so bad. And remember this, I say it here, I say it every time. This is Biden's war, not my war. I'm just trying to end it. And I'm actually ending it, yes, for money, but I'm not ending it for that, number one. I'm ending it because they're losing 5,000 people a week. Young soldiers are being killed, Russian and Ukrainian both. But in the end, Russia has a lot of soldiers, and they have a very big military. And things were said, like when Zelenskyy was in the Oval Office, I was talking about getting it done, and he starts screaming, but we need security, meaning security after the fact. I said, security. I don't even know if we can get this deal done. He's asking for more, just more and more and more. And he doesn't have the cards, as you know, because you see what's happening over there. He doesn't have the cards. So hopefully he's going to get it done, because I don't believe that Vladimir Putin would be doing this for anybody else but me. A lot of people have said it too. I think he had the idea of going all the way through. I think he's willing to make a deal. And I would say thus far, he's been easier to deal with than Zelenskyy. Thus far.
Mr. President, I have to tell you, I didn't understand why gold was going up so fast until I walked into the Oval.
Oh, well, we're making it nice. We're making it the way it should be.
You have transformed the Oval.
Yeah, no, it's good. And I think I've transferred it and transformed it, maybe more importantly in what we're doing with our ideas, our policies, because we had some really bad things happening to our country. And we now have a strong border. We're now respected. When you take a look at the money that's pouring in through the tariffs, you're going to see, I mean, I want to, that would be an ambition. I'm going to make you a fan of it. But
you got
not that I want to do
I would love to be a fan of it.
Not that I want to do, tariffs or anything else, but I want to save our country.
Yes.
We were losing $5 billion a day. You can't do that. It's not sustainable. So we'll be doing another interview in a year or 2 years from now, and you're going to say, you were right on that. I've been right about a lot of things.
I have been corrected by your actions before.
Yeah, but
so, thank you.
It's a great honor to be with you.
Always.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
There's an awful lot that feels broken in this world, and it's easy to feel powerless. Like you'd love to do something to help, but you just don't know what to do. And in the end, you end up shaking your head and walking away from it all and saying, I don't know what to do. But here's the truth. You can do something good to bring good and light into the world. You can be part of the change we all want to see. Right now, across the country, there are women facing unplanned pregnancies. Many of them are scared. They don't know what to do. They feel completely alone. Many of them are buying into the lie that the best thing you can do is have an abortion. But they don't want to. This is where the Ministry of Preborn is working to help them. They help them see another way. First thing they do is they offer a free ultrasound. When mom sees the baby and hears the heartbeat, she's twice as likely to choose life for her baby. Then there's counseling, postnatal help for up to 2 years, showing moms the love and compassion, not judgment. That will save a life of the baby and mom. Go to preborn.com/Glenn, preborn.com/Glenn, or hit pound 250, say the keyword baby. As you watched the interview, I'm sure you saw the stack of questions, and that was the edited stack of questions that I had for him, and I kept skipping them because his people were off to the side showing me he's got a meeting he's got to get to, and so I didn't ask him a lot of the stuff I really wanted to ask him, but we ran out of time. But he did invite us back, and we will be back to talk about him. I hope that was satisfying to you. I hope I asked some of the questions, and he answered some of the questions to your satisfaction. I'm not a journalist. I am just somebody who is an honest American that is just trying to figure things out and trying to raise my family, just like you are. The one thing about this president is he is strangely a guy that is, gilding the Oval Office, but he is still strangely a regular guy, just in unbelievably different circumstances. I asked him, do you ever feel, I know you're Donald Trump, but do you ever feel, and he said, immediately coming off there, yes, every day I can't believe I'm walking around in this White House. He's an average guy, and if you're watching on BlazeTV, we're going to go right into this. A question I asked him about Tesla being an average guy from an unusual family. That continues next. Thanks. Good night. How crazy is it that you are working with Elon Musk, today's Tesla?
Yeah, absolutely.
And when Tesla died, it was your genius uncle that was sent to try to figure out what papers should be kept. How crazy is that? We're waiting for the president to come in. I just want to show you. This is the Roosevelt Room. This is such a cool room. The Oval Office is right there, isn't it?